She could even be catching up on back copies of the Law Review. Instead, she was stuck indoors with a couple of hundred gawkers, all trying to catch a glimpse of the notorious Tully O'Rourke and maybe grab a piece of the bankrupt estate. And on top of it, she had to put up with the company of her aggravating little sister. Rumors about Tully O'Rourke had been flying around Savannah for weeks. The widow had recovered both her composure and a pile of insurance money after her late husband's headline-grabbing suicide. The most persistent rumor, and the one most important to Antonia, was that she had decided to bring back the internationally known Shakespeare players to her hometown of Savannah. But first, Tully was going to recover the contents of her several mansions from the bank that had grabbed them at the conclusion of O'Rourke's bankruptcy. And since you did insist on coming along, you might have dressed up a little bit. You've got Sasha's dog hair all over your sweater, Antonia said. Honestly, of all the times to look like an unmade bed. Bree brushed futilely at the golden fuzz spread over her sweatshirt and thought about whacking her sister with the auction catalog. Antonia had changed her outfit 3 times before they'd set off for the auction house. Then she'd driven Bree to the screaming point about whether to wear her dark red hair up in a top knot or cascading down her back. Then she'd slugged back 5 cups of coffee, sending her nerves into the stratosphere. She dived into her purse for her mirror and checked her makeup every 3 minutes. At this point, Bree was beyond affectionate exasperation and into serious annoyance. Her little sister was beautiful, no matter how she wore her hair or what kind of t-shirt she put on, and despite the Bobby Brown lip gloss smeared over her upper lip. Even someone as used to a celebrity-soaked lifestyle as Tully O'Rourke could see that, and Bree was really tired of telling her so. Antonia's acting talent was another issue altogether. Bree loved her sister dearly, but she really wasn't very good on stage. There was no way to convince Tully of her talent during Aunt Sissy's carefully planned chance meeting unless Tonia engaged in some highly suspect boasting. So that was Bree's job, should the great Mrs. O'Rourke actually ask about Antonia's credentials, to brag on her sister. "Just say you're my lawyer," Antonia had said as they set out from their townhouse on Factor's Walk to the auction house. "Which you would be, actually, if I ever needed one. And when you talk about my reviews in Oklahoma, it'd be okay if you didn't mention it was a high school thing." So Bree had spent most of that morning alternating between telling her sister to shut up and threatening to go home. "You know, Tonia," she said as she bent forward to take a closer look at the cherry desk, "this isn't as much of a waste of time as I thought it'd be. There's some pretty cool stuff here. Just feel this leather. It's like silk." She placed her palm on the desktop and swept her hand past the jar and the inkstand. "Help me." Bree jumped back as if burned. The scream was all the more agonizing for being silent. "Help me." The air above the desktop rippled as if stirred by a witchy hand. Bree took a deep breath and glanced cautiously around. Antonia had drifted on to look at the contents of a glass-fronted cabinet some 30 feet away. Bree caught a glimpse of people clustered at the far end of the narrow aisle that snaked through the clutch of auction stuff. For the moment, though, she was alone. The eddy of cold air spiraled upward. Bree reached out to touch the desk again. The air thickened to a gray and white soup. "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!" A skeletal hand formed in the middle of the gray and white mist and stretched out imploringly. Bree was never quite sure what to do in these circumstances. Should she try to give the ghostly hand her business card? She wished, not for the first time, that her prospective clients had clearer avenues of communication. Barring face-to-corpse conferences, which circumstances didn't allow her.